Hello, it's Ruthie. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been here, and I thank you so much for coming back. There may very well be some puppy playtime happening behind me, and I hope you enjoy that. Hope it's a happy distraction for you in this probably not so happy state that you are in if you're watching this video. So if you do happen to be new to my channel, or if you just haven't done this yet, make sure that you like and comment and subscribe and do all those YouTube-y things, because it just really helps out my channel and helps push out these videos to more people. I'm going to personally have to ignore them in order to get through this video. Hey, come on. Oh man, they're gonna be wild. Should I talk over here while this is happening? Ugh. I've been trying to film this intro for 10 minutes now. Essie, get down. It's chaotic puppy play hour, and they just calmed down for like half a second, and now they're back at it. So I'm just gonna power through this and talk through them. Can you please be quiet? They both said no. Okay, go back outside. How about? Outside. I just brought the dogs outside. They were just being a little bit too much for the background, and I couldn't focus on what I'm trying to say in this video that is a very important and pretty serious video. So, okay, let me get my head on straight. If you do happen to be new here, welcome. Thanks for clicking on this video. If you are new here and you just happen to find this video, I'm assuming it's a pretty tough time in your life. And so I hope that my humor in this video and the generally scattered nature of this video is a welcomed distraction, maybe. And most importantly, I just hope that this video provides some sense of comfort or some amount of information that you might need in order to make the best decision for you. So if you are not new to my channel, then you might have seen my part one, I guess I'm calling it, of this video, the original J-Pouch pros and cons video that I will link up here somewhere. That video was filmed in a clearly rough patch in my life. I think a few days before filming that video, I had just self-cut my own bangs, and not like normal bangs. They were like pointed down because I just wanted something different. I was just like, I was going through it, and girls cut bangs and you're going through it. So that was happening. I did not rewatch that video before filming this one on purpose because I didn't want it to influence what I said in this video, because time has passed, you know, and I just passed. I am now 1 year and 3 days. Correction, 10 years and 3 days. I have no idea why I said 1 year and 3 days. It's 10 of living life without a colon. I had my colon removed on November 11th of 2014. And then February of 2015, my J-Pouch was constructed. And then April of 2015, my J-Pouch was put to use full time. So this upcoming February and this upcoming April will be the 10-year markers for my J-Pouch. 10 years since it was created and 10 years since it's been in use. So yeah, a lot of time has passed and things have changed since that last video I made that was focused on the pros and cons of having a J-Pouch. And also a lot has stayed the same, to be honest. So I will walk you through just a brief history of my medical life, but it's gonna be brief because I have many videos on this channel where I talk about each specific event. And so if you're not new to my channel, and if you've heard me say these stories a million times by now, then feel free to skip ahead to the timestamp that I will put here and will be in the description. So since this video is entitled The Pros and Cons of Having a J Pouch, or some variation of that, I'm going to just assume that you know what a J pouch is, what an ostomy bag is, and what all these surgeries I'm talking about are. I have explained it before on this channel, so I'm not going to go into detail explaining those things. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to leave questions down in the comment section below, and I will answer them. I try to answer them as quickly as I see them. And if they're more personal, private questions, you can always feel free to email them, and I always respond to that whenever I have the bandwidth and the time and space to do so. In general, comments I respond to quicker just because they're shorter in nature, you know, and emails tend to be like, whoa, and then I have to think a lot. So anyway, kind of off topic. But the shortest story that I've condensed my life, my health life, down to is that I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was 14. It runs in my family on both sides, unfortunately. It is a genetic disease in the family of IBD. So ulcerative colitis is a form of inflammatory bowel disease. And so I was diagnosed with that when I was 14. Had a real rough time the whole time I had ulcerative colitis, to the point where when I was 18, I had my colon removed. I had my J pouch constructed. I had an ostomy bag for around 6 months before my reversal surgery, which reconnected my intestines to each other and to the J pouch. I would recommend that you do go back and watch the first video that I made of this, even if it's awkward and uncomfortable, because you're seeing me like this now and then going back to watching me with bangs is like, I literally cannot watch that video because I'm just like, I just can't look at myself with bangs like that. But that is like one of the highest viewed videos on my channel. I think it is the highest viewed video on my channel of me talking. So I know that people have a lot of questions regarding a J pouch. And I'm pretty sure that in that video, I answered the most general questions that I usually get. And like I said, I didn't watch that video ahead of time because I didn't want it to influence what I was saying here. So there will most likely be different information in that video. It was a different version of me. It was me from a couple years ago, but it might be helpful for you with the point in your life that you're at now. You know, like some of the videos that resonate with me the most were created like 10 years ago, you know, and it's funny just how time works. Like, so a question that people will ask me at times is, how much of your colon did they remove? Until recently, I thought that my entire colon was removed just because that's what I was told. Like, they just took out the entire colon. But I've learned recently that they left the stump of the colon, because I guess if they were to take out the entire colon, then that means that you have to have like the Barbie butt surgery, I guess, and have like a permanent ostomy. So apparently like there's a stump of my colon left, and then the J pouch, and then my pre-pouch ileum, which is the part that connects my small intestine to my J pouch. So I say all that to say that in the past 10 years, since my initial 3 surgeries, I have had an additional 3 surgeries, and all of them were unexpected and emergency surgery situations. I've had 2 bowel obstructions. I've had 1 case of my organs twisting around each other for no apparent reason. I've had cysts here and there. I've had scar tissue issues. I've been a victim of malpractice. Like, I've had a lot of different things happen to me in the past 10 years that I'm not going to talk about in this video, that I think could all be considered a con of having a J pouch. Because one thing to really keep in mind that I did not know when I was, you know, an 18-year-old girl getting her colon removed in an emergency situation, I didn't know that like having surgery leads to more surgeries. And that is somewhat of a common knowledge thing, I know, amongst the medical community, but I think amongst people in general, or adults in general, since I know that as a fact now. But basically, when you have 1 surgery, it creates scar tissue because you are cutting through tissue of your skin. And that creates scar tissue, and scar tissue creates so many other issues that have to be fixed with surgery, which then creates more scar tissue, which can only be fixed with surgery, which creates more scar tissue, which causes problems that can only be fixed with surgery, which creates more scar tissue, which creates problems that can only be fixed with surgery. And you can see how it goes on and on and on and on and on. And you can probably see how if I don't know, part of me is wanting to say that if I had known like just how many complications I would have years down the line, that I would have rather have not had my colon removed. But I can't say that really because I didn't have a choice. I was never given the option to get my colon removed or not. I was 100 pounds at 5'11". I will insert a horrifying picture of it here. I was a skeleton. I was on my deathbed and they were saving my life. And I have to keep reminding myself that. That's something that I really want you to remind yourself of if you are out there watching this video and maybe you're in the hospital. Maybe they're telling you, fuck. Maybe they're telling you that you need to have the surgery done. Maybe you're in the position I was in 10 years ago. And I don't want this video to scare you or to scare anyone away from solutions that they need in their life. I just want this video to provide a voice of someone 10 years down the line, as someone who has had this disease and who has had these surgeries, of just what my personal experience was with it and what I have learned from it. And those things might be helpful for you. And I really want to emphasize the might, because you might have ulcerative colitis. You might be 18 in the hospital. You might be like exactly what I had just described I was 10 years ago. But we're not the same, you know, like we are different people and like we're in different bodies. We have different everything. And so the solution for me might not be the same solution for you. And the issues that I've had with my solution, you might not have. Like, I know so many people who have J pouches who have never once had an additional surgery. They've just been smooth sailing since those initial surgeries and living life, and they're good. And I also know some people who have chosen to go back to living with an ostomy bag. They did not like life with a J pouch, and so they chose to have the Barbie butt surgery and have a permanent ostomy. I know people who have gone back and forth a few times, who have temporary ostomies and then go back to J pouch for a while, and then go back to an ostomy for a while, go back to J pouch for a while, just for different reasons. So this really is something that you and your family and your loved ones and your doctors and your surgeons have to work out, whether this is the right thing for you or not. I'm just throwing my experience into the pool of things for you to consider if you are in this situation. So, with all of that being said, I would be lying if I said that I was fully happy having a J pouch. I would be a dirty, filthy liar if I said that. So I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say the truth. And the truth from Ruth is that this J pouch has been a fucking pain in the ass. A literal pain in my ass for 10 years! And at the same time, it's less of a pain in the ass than my actual colon was. So, do with that what you will. But the grass is pretty brown on both sides to me. It sucks. And this is me right now. Again, like, catch me on a different day. I might have an entirely different attitude behind what I'm saying. So if I'm coming across like a bit bitter and upset in this video, it's just because that's how I'm feeling right now. Maybe editing Ruthie will chime in as she sees fit to balance out that if I do come across a bit negative. But I'm hoping that if you're out there and you're living with colitis or IBD or Crohn's, that you get that already and you understand that this is a rough hand of cards we've been dealt. It really is. It's really rough. And at the same time that it's really rough, we have days where, you know, life is beautiful and we feel happy and we continue our regularly scheduled programming and, you know, like go about life as normal. And maybe even forget that we have IBD and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that you out there watching this video understand these waves that I'm talking about, because if you live with a chronic illness, here's a bug. If you live with a chronic illness, then you're kind of forced to eventually at least learn to ride the waves with a bit more ease. So if you are that person out there who is sitting in your hospital bed, scouring YouTube for anyone to talk to you with advice or encouragement or anything, I want you to know that that was me 10 years ago, scouring YouTube for videos on how to change an ostomy bag, because I knew I was going to have an ostomy bag soon and I had no idea what to do with it. And there's so much more content on the internet now than there was 10 years ago, obviously. There are so many more people out there with J pouches and creators on the internet out there with J pouches and ostomy bags. And there are a lot of people with IBD out there on the internet who have not had any surgeries yet or ever. So there are a lot of through lines. There are a lot of similarities between all of our stories. And there are a lot of places where, you know, we each have our own unique, crazy, what the fuck type of thing, you know? Most recently, and you can feel free to head over to my Ruthie Rambles playlist, or if you want the videos to be more focused fully on like my health life, then go to my health history and updates playlist that I will link in the cards and all that. You can watch my most recent health update video, and in that video I talk about how I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So I am new to having Crohn's disease, and fuck, okay, this is why I've been putting off this one. To those of you out there who have been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, I'm sure you understand what I'm about to say. So my uncle on my dad's side of the family was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. He had his colon removed, and then all the inflammation from his colon spread to his small intestine and his other intestines. So what they found out was that he didn't actually have ulcerative colitis. He had Crohn's disease in his colon. So it presented itself as colitis. So they were like, no colon, no colitis, removed the colon, but then the inflammation just spread to his other intestines. So that's always been something that I have been really scared about happening to me. It's always been something my doctors have been checking me for, and something that's been in the back of my head for 15 years. And a few months ago, I did get confirmation that I have Crohn's disease. Luckily, it's not the same thing that happened to my uncle. I did have ulcerative colitis. My doctors want to assure me, they were like, it's not like you had Crohn's in your colon. Like, you had ulcerative colitis. We got rid of the colitis by removing the colon. And some percentage of patients, I forget what she said, I think she said about 10% of patients, then develop inflammation in their other intestines, which by definition is Crohn's disease, because any stomach inflammation that's not specifically in the colon is Crohn's disease. So I have Crohn's disease. I have inflammation in my pre-pouch ileum and my small intestine. I'm pretty sure the cuff of my colon as well, based on my last scope. So I have started Stelara. I just did my 4th dose of it on Tuesday. It's Thursday now, so 2 days ago. I haven't felt any benefits from it yet, to be honest. I've felt what might be slight benefits by feeling a slight flare-up before I do my shot, you know, where it's like maybe I'm improving so slowly and gradually in between doses that I notice that I'm feeling sick before I do the shot. So maybe that means it's working, is what I'm hoping for. But I am feeling like the negative side effects from it, like just getting sick more easily, just a weakened immune system. But I'm no stranger to these medications. I've been on every one that has existed during the times that I was on medication. So I was on Lialda, Remicade, Simponi, Humira, methotrexate. Now I'm on Stelara. Skyrizi is the next one on deck if Stelara doesn't work. And there are some other ones in there that I can't remember. But yeah, I've tried a lot, if not all of them. So I did want to keep this video very much like pros and cons about having a J pouch. Pros over here, cons over here. Now make your decision. But when I started to write that out, I was just like, the pros and the cons are so specific to the individual. Like, they're so specific to me. And I don't want a negative factor about my J pouch that I've experienced to scare you away from getting a J pouch if that's what you need. And I also don't want maybe a pro of like a huge positive that I have of living with a J pouch to make you be more desperate to get one or to have the surgeries done before you really need them done. Or I know that people can get a bit eager, like especially if you are in hell with your ulcerative colitis and if you are like on the toilet for 9-10 hours a day and like just don't have a life anymore due to having colitis, and you're just like constantly shitting or not shitting or feeling like you're about to poop your pants and then running to the bathroom and then you can't, and then, you know, just that whole thing. Like, if you are really like in the thick of it with colitis, I don't want this to scare you away from a surgery that you would greatly benefit from, because I was that person who was logging 10 hours a day on the toilet, which just is not a life. That's not living life. That is living on the toilet. That was my life before having my surgeries. Having an ostomy bag really did give me my life back. Like, I was able to participate in the world. Like, I was able to get off the toilet. I was able to sleep. I was, you know, like, yeah, it sucked that, you know, my bag exploded on me in the middle of the night so many times, and that I'd have leakage and the skin problems and all the problems that come along with having an ostomy bag. Those things suck, obviously. But I would be lying if I didn't say that there are times when I miss my ostomy bag. And if you are out there and if you have a J pouch maybe and you're watching this, I'm curious as to why, because I tend to avoid content where people are talking about J pouches. I'm very curious. If you have a J pouch already and you're watching this video, please let me know why. But if you have a J pouch, then you understand what I'm saying with the romanticizing your ostomy in a way, and like romanticizing that time period that you had with your ostomy bag, no matter how long or short it was. Because when you have a J pouch, I'm pretty sure it's across the board. Everyone with a J pouch has an option to have an ostomy bag, but not vice versa. Like, there are people who have ostomy bags where they have had their entire colon removed, so they don't have the option to have a J pouch anymore. Maybe if you have a J pouch and you're watching this video, maybe you're considering going back to an ostomy bag, actually, because I can imagine myself searching for J pouch pros and cons videos if I was considering going back to an ostomy bag more seriously, because spoiler, I kind of have been considering that. Not too seriously. Like, I am going to give Stelara a fair shot. I'm going to give my J pouch a fair shot, and all of the current medications I'm on and lifestyle things that I'm doing, I'm going to give all this stuff a fair shot before I make any decisions. If I do ever make the decision to have an ostomy bag again, I would choose the temporary ostomy, just so I do have the option to go back to a J pouch if I can't stand it again. But it's like, you'll understand what I mean if you're out there with a J pouch. Like, it's weird. It's weird how much, like, I hated, but I don't know, because everyone's different. But for me, I'll speak for myself. I hated my ostomy bag so much. So much. I hated it. I hated it with a fiery passion. And at the same time, I loved it because it gave me my life back and it allowed me to do everything and live life. But I fucking hated it. I hated having a shit bag strapped to my stomach. And that's how I always said it in my head. I was like, I have a bag of shit strapped to my stomach. I have a shit bag on my stomach. Like, I just felt disgusting. I really became super self-destructive during that time span of my life because I was just trying to numb and dumb and drown out all my sorrows and, party until I can't think anymore and forget that I have a shit bag, So that was really how I coped with it, how I spent that time. I just tried to disassociate as much as I possibly could. I did a pretty good job, if I do say so myself, but still probably facing the effects of that mentally. But I was also an 18-year-old girl, and I'm not surprised as me, my 28-year-old woman self, I'm not surprised that 18-year-old didn't want a shit bag strapped to her stomach. Like, that makes sense to me. Me, as 28-year-old woman Ruthie, who is running to the bathroom very often, all throughout the day and night, and can't tolerate much of anything, and food-wise, and has near constant abdominal pain, I think back to the ostomy bag, and it doesn't seem so bad anymore. And I don't know whether I'm like romanticizing it because I'm in a flare-up or just dealing with my Crohn's diagnosis, dealing with the malpractice bullshit and all of that, like, which I made a video about. I'll link up there, but I don't know what exactly it is that's sparking these feelings where I am kind of feeling like I'm almost done with my J pouch. And it's what has contributed to me pushing off making this video, because I didn't know if my feelings were going to change, and they haven't in many months. Like, I'm still confused and I'm still kind of going back and forth. So I just figured that that's valid, and there's probably other people in the same boat, so I can make a video. And even though I'm not solidly feeling one way or another on the topic, but it's hard to tell whether I'm just wanting to have an ostomy bag again because my lifestyle is at the point where it is just so undeniably impacted by Crohn's disease and by my symptoms and flare-ups and everything that just seems like the easy button almost. Like, okay, well, let me just go back to an ostomy bag, because if I have my ostomy bag, then everything will be easier. And it's like, that's just not true. Like, I need to like really watch the way that I'm thinking right now, because I am sick and it's hard to make any accurate or make any honest decisions when your baseline is so unstable and when you're sick, and when you're stressed. We have to like work from the top down, like if you are like sick and stressed, you are not thinking in a clear way. You're just not. You might be thinking as clear as you can given your circumstances, but we never make good decisions from a place of fear and from a place of illness and disease and distress, That's why I'm kind of happy that I never had to make a decision with any of my surgeries. I never decided to have a single surgery. Every surgery was decided for me. It was, you're dying and we have to do this to save you. So it's like, okay, save me, like no decision needed, like, okay, cool. And my struggle right now with my doctor and I is like, I'm not in this dire situation. I'm not in an emergency situation. I'm in a situation where I have a lot more power, which is a great thing and something I don't want to take for granted. And at the same time, part of me just wishes that there was some emergency situation that would make the decision for me, just so I don't have to. Because I'm at this place with my doctor where she's like, yeah, if you want to go back to an ostomy bag, like if you are too uncomfortable with living with your J pouch, and if things just don't get better, then, you can go back to an ostomy bag anytime. And like, that's comforting and that's maddening, you know, at the same time, because I'm like, shit, like, I don't want to make that decision. And I know that if someone else made that decision for me, I would have wished that I could have made that decision, you know? So I know that I ultimately do want to decide like the direction that my life goes in and what happens to my body. But it feels like ultimately it's not up to me. And I don't know whether that's because every surgery I've ever had hasn't been up to me. So it's like my past imposing itself on my present and future, or if that's reality, or if that's like maybe my intuition is telling me that something's going to happen at a certain point and it won't be up to me. And I've always had that feeling, and like I just can't tell whether that feeling is something that is rooted in reality or rooted in fear. And it's really difficult to tell when you are actively sick and when you are actively thinking about these things. And I said it in therapy the other day where it's like, it feels like I'm like zoomed in so close to like problems, like whether they're interpersonal problems or like personal problems or health problems or whatever the problem is, world problems. I'm like zoomed in so tightly that I'm like untangling little hairs from each other, saying like, oh, this hair should be over there and this hair should be over there. When it's like, maybe if I zoomed out, I would see that, oh, I just have to move this piece over there and this piece over there, and then it's a clear picture. Like when you are so closely zoomed into something, you just see little pixels. Like just imagine like on a phone or on a camera, like you can only zoom in so far where it just becomes like a singular pixel, and then you can't make out anything about the big picture because you're looking at one pixel. So I'm trying to zoom out more and look at the big picture of this whole thing. And it's really hard to do that when the big picture is me and my life, and when you are so personally attached to yourself and your life and your story. It's really hard to like zoom out in that way and look objectively at like your situation and your health and what is the best decision for you and what do you actually want to do? What is your intuition telling you versus what is fear telling you? You know, like discerning the difference between how those voices even sound is really hard to do. So yeah, as I said at the beginning of me rambling about all this, I don't want to say, and I'm sorry that I am going to put pros and cons part 2 in the title, because I just think that's how this video will reach the people that I want this video to reach. But, you know, I really want to encourage all of us, I guess, to zoom out a bit more and maybe to not focus on a pros and cons list of somebody else who is had maybe something similar to you, but is ultimately a different person. And like, so their list will be different, and like zoom out of your own situation and make your own pros and cons lists, like, and have it be something that entirely comes from you and from your feelings and your own intuition, and like actually think it through. Like if you have a J pouch now, and if you are considering going back to an ostomy bag, write out the pros and cons of those to you. And like, that's why I don't want to share mine right now anyway, because I don't want them to taint yours, you know? And yeah, you might get some ideas from other people's lists and things like that, but it can also just, I don't know. I just feel like we live in a time where there is just so much information out there. There's too much information out there that our own intuition and our own ideas get so clouded with the opinions of others and the experiences of others. So I hope that this video just kind of opens the door for you to just be honest with yourself and like check in with yourself about how you actually feel about this and what you see for yourself in your life in the future. And always doing your best to remain flexible with those visions, because as you well know, if you have a chronic illness, when you make a plan, God laughs. Is that what they say? Like, you can't plan for anything, because it's like someone can ask me like, do you want to go here on this day at this time? And I'm like, I do right now, but like, I'll let you know that day if I can, because I have no idea how I'm going to be feeling on that given day. I have to go with the dogs. 1 second. Okay, girls, let's finish this up. So we got the dogs back in the house. Wow, I made it through that without crying, but let me not speak too soon because I am going to read now and it might make me cry. So along with my hope of this video being an invitation for you to just kind of reflect on yourself and make your own personal pros and cons lists about your J pouch, I also want to offer this therapy homework that I got from my therapist last year. And she had me write a thank you but screw you letter to my colon. And you can change that to thank you but fuck you, or to whatever your language is. She was sweet and wrote, screw you. Before I read my letter, I would like to offer this, that if you are out there, if you're watching this video and you don't have a colon as well, if you have had your colon removed, maybe pause this video and write your own thank you but screw you colon letter, and then resume watching, just so that yours isn't tainted by what I have to say. But you can also listen to mine first and then go do yours. Or if there's another body part that has been removed from you, then you can insert whatever that body part is into that. Maybe if you're new to having a J pouch and you had an ostomy bag for a while, maybe you can write a thank you but screw you letter to your ostomy. There's an idea. So I'm going to read this now. I don't remember what this says. It'll probably make me cry. Just warning. Dear colon, first of all, thank you for trying. You gave it a good go. You did your best with what you were given. I know you had a rough starting point and journey and end. You suffered big time, huh? You did the best with what you had, and you weren't alone. I suffered with you every step of the way. Up until the end, I was right there with you. I hope you're at peace now. I worry you're lonely. I worry you're lonely is sending me right now. To my colon. Oh my god. And I know I was crying when I wrote that too. I'm like, are you lonely? No, you've been incinerated. Okay. let me continue. I worry you're lonely and confused and hurt somewhere. I worry I gave up on you too soon. I worry I could have healed you if I tried harder. I know you don't blame me, but sometimes I blame myself. Not all the time, but some of the time. Mostly I blame you. I blame you for all the pain you put me through. Screw you for real, and good riddance. Thank you for all the pain. You've taught me so much, more than I'd be able to learn without you. So all in all, thank you and screw you. I love you. Goodbye. Yeah. I was right. Waterworks started real fast. There you have it. There was my thank you but screw you letter to my colon that I wrote a year ago. And I'm probably due to write a new one. Yeah, I'm going to leave this video there and I'm going to go finish crying. Thank you so much. So much for watching this video. Seriously, thank you. For being here with me, for listening to me, to crying with me if you have. We're in this together. Sorry, I had to do a little bit more crying before I ended. We are in this together. And even though this feels like the most hellish experience and the most lonely experience, I just need you to know that you are not alone in this experience. Just like I am not alone in this experience, because you're experiencing it too. So if we are both experiencing this hell, then that means that we are not alone in experiencing this hell, which makes it a little bit less hellish. So I am genuinely wishing you all the best on your own individual journeys and all your own individual decisions that are to be made. And I know that you will make the best decision that you possibly can make at the time that you have to make that decision with the information that you have. That will always be the case, no matter what. So we can hang our hats on that. It's such an old-timey saying. I don't know why I said that. So I hope that this video was helpful to you in some way, shape, or form, even if it was just hearing somebody else talk about what you've experienced. That can be really, really, really helpful, especially when what we experience is so isolating by nature. It can be such a relief to just hear somebody else say words to what you have experienced that you thought you were alone in experiencing. So, if nothing else, I hope that this video provided you that. And I'm wishing you all the best on your own journeys toward health and happiness and whatever those things look like for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, leave a comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, do all those things. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye. A bink, a bunk, a bunk.